What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another multiversus video. Yesterday we received a huge multiversus update that came out with Black Adam, 2 new game modes, arcade and silly Q, and then along with that a bunch of new patch notes, balance changes. I think in the past I've made videos covering the balance changes. I'm not going to do that this time because it's kind of already too late. You guys have already seen the patch notes, but I did want to make an updated tier list because I think that this patch notes bout was pretty interesting and definitely made a lot of shifts to some characters that have stayed very stagnant for a long time on the tier list. So I'm just going to give you guys an update and tell you guys who you should be playing and shouldn't be. This is just my opinion, so it's not like a set in stone thing, but yeah, let's get into the tier list. The rules of this tier list, I'm going to be making this tier list based mainly around 1v1s because myself as a player, I have about 1,500 matches of 1v1s played and then about 500 of 2v2s. So I have triple the experience of 1v1s as 2v2s. And then the second thing is that this is from a decently high level perspective. The characters that I main and have mained, I usually get them up to around top 100 and stay there pretty stagnant. I've never been able to break into top 10 or anything, so I'm not actually good, but you know, I'm at a decently high point. So this is going to be at a point where most people know what their moves do and know counters and what perks to use with their characters and just some basic stuff like that. But yeah, enough talking, let's get into the tier list. Let's just start with the S tier, the most powerful characters in the game, and no surprise, Harley is still here. Harley is one of those characters that unfortunately did not receive any changes and has not received any changes in a while, or any significant changes at least. Harley has just been a very strong meta pick for a while, aside from the dodgy hitboxes that basically every character in the game suffers from, and I don't even think that this is a hitbox issue. I think it's more a server issue and just desync. But that's the only real downside of Harley, is that some of her moves sometimes just don't connect, but that's not really Harley's fault. That's just the servers. So Harley is still an extremely strong S tier pick. She has great map control with her boxes, and as well as that, her plushies. She's got a great neutral game because she can control the neutral game and then throw the plushie to initiate a fight. And then if she sticks that plushie, she has basically a free initiation. It's very hard to time that dodge on the plushie because they can leave it in there for a really long time before they actually activate it, and then they only have a very small animation when they activate it. Along with that, Harley's up special, the baseball bat, remains one of the best up abilities in the entire game and KOs at ridiculously low percentages. The only downsides to Harley is that she's pretty light and pretty slow, but honestly, how powerful her moves are makes up for that. So still a very solid S tier pick. The next character in S tier is going to be Jake. Jake has also stayed in the S tier for a while. I know I mentioned that some characters had been stagnant for a while that actually got moved around in this update. They're coming. I know it's a little bit weird to start out with 2 characters that still haven't changed, but Jake is still an S tier pick. He just has an all-around great kit for literally everything. There aren't really any big downsides to Jake. He's got a great all-around kit that covers all ranges, all different types of engagements. He can play against projectiles with his deflects. He can play against rushdown characters with his controlling moves. He's just got a really great kit. I don't really know what to say about it. Next up for S tier, we have Morty. Morty is only really S tier at the higher level of play when people have really figured out how to play as Morty, because I will stand by the statement. I know that some people disagree with this, but Morty remains one of the harder characters in the game. Definitely a hard character to play. You can't just pick up Morty and have success. There's a lot of cooldowns you have to manage, a lot of different ranges. You have to know certain combos to control neutral games specifically. And I know you could think oh, he can just throw his nade and split it, but a lot of the characters in the game actually do have great moves that play around the nades or against the nades. And once you kind of know what to expect from a Morty, it's easier to play around the nades specifically. But yeah, I still think that Morty all around has a great kit, very strong. Only thing that Morty suffers from, in my opinion, is that his only kill move is his down smash. Besides his down smash, the only thing you can KO with, I guess, is the grenades if you hit a fully charged grenade. But in order to get that fully charged grenade hit, you have to split it and be using that signature perk. And it's pretty easy to see coming. So all around, he's just going to have a little bit of a hard time KOing people, but still a very solid S tier pick. Next up in S tier, we have Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is another simple character like Jake, even simpler than Jake actually. Wonder Woman is a very basic and I would say easy to play character. She's hard to master because of the speed that you have to actually make her work really well. You have to be running these kids around the stage, but still Wonder Woman, if you can play her well, which like I said earlier, I'm assuming that you know how to play your character well, Wonder Woman is going to be a very strong pick. Next up, the exact same as Wonder Woman, really, we have Finn. Wonder Woman and Finn are both the same archetype of the really quick rush down sword characters. They both have a very similar play style and very similar strengths and weaknesses. They're both extremely fast and pretty forgiving with their attacks. They don't really have much whiff recovery or anything like that, so you can just kind of run around and spam attacks. But like I said, they're both going to be difficult to master just because of the speed that you have to play them at. That's going to do it for the S tier though. I'm gonna move on to the A tier now. First up in the A tier, we have Batman. Batman is still sitting in A tier. I do think that Batman is no longer in S tier. I think in my last patch, I also put Batman in A tier instead of S tier. He was S tier for a while, but I think that there's just been a lot of characters that have come out recently that have ways to play around the projectiles. The last few characters have had better ways to play than Batman. However, Batman is still extremely strong and extremely easy. Unlike some of these characters in S tier, Batman is one of the easiest characters in the game, in my opinion. If I were to make a tier list based on skill, he would be in like the bottom 3. He's basically just Shaggy in the way that he has a bunch of like punches and kicks, but then he also has the batarang, and the batarang is still one of the most broken moves in the game. I don't think that Batman is game-breakingly OP. Before some people try to come in the comments and be like, you know, the people like to take things too far when I make statements. I don't think that Batman is like super OP, but I still do think that he's definitely sitting in A tier, and I don't really see how this one could be argued. I'm open to hearing your opinion. If you play Batman and think that he's, you know, in a different tier, feel free to leave your comment below. But with how safe his play is and with how safe his battering is in specific, like you can be in a gross combo, like just getting your rock. And as long as you get 1 frame to press your battering button, you can completely negate the combo, apply weakened to them, and knock them back, and then instantly pick the battering back up because you're already close to it. Like there's just so many benefits. Along with that, you have the grappling hook for recovery. It's not really a great initiation tool because it's pretty predictable, but the recovery on it is still solid and hard to punish at times, because if you mistime the punish on that grappling hook, you're going to get stunned when he lands. And also it just comes out really quick. So even if you grappling hook to the ledge and then land and they come to edge guard you, you will still have touched the wall, which refreshes your jumps and your dodges and your special abilities. So now you have 6 more ways to get back up onto the top. Overall, just a very forgiving and easy character that is still hard to punish because of that battering and bat bomb. Definitely sitting in A tier. Next up, we have Bugs. Bugs actually moving down to A tier for the first time, I think, since the game has come out. I'll be putting Bugs somewhere that is not S tier, and that's because he got a shadow nerf recently. Within this patch, he can no longer cancel his neutral air. Previously, he could cancel it like in the middle of the move after you already hit them, and then immediately you could do another move. So this was this one move was in so many Bugs loops, and now those loops are no longer true, meaning they're no longer like completely hit stun, and you actually have counterplay available when you're playing against Bugs. I know it sounds like so weird to say that you can have counterplay playing against Bugs, but you actually can in this patch. Playing against like high level Bugs recently has been much easier compared to before. I still think that he's a great character, which is why he's in A tier. He's still kind of like in the same position as Jake, where he has a great all-around kit for just anything that you want to do. Bugs can do it, but a lot of his true loops have been like shadow nerfed, which is a great addition. Next up, we're moving on to Taz. Still a sleeper pick. People have not really started catching on. Actually, I'll take that back. People have started to catch on, but I feel like we're on the cusp of the Taz meta, and it's just been overshadowed by some big changes to other characters recently. But Taz has been creeping up the ranks for a while now, and he's not really getting recognition for it. Taz has insane priority over like every move in the game. Some of his moves just take crazy priority. He also just does crazy good knockback, and he is by far one of, if not the best edge guarders in the entire game. And for a character that has good knockback, having great edge guard to follow up on that knockback is just a bread and butter for a character. So yeah, Taz definitely sitting in A tier. This is a sleeper pick again because he used to be like F tier, but they have been bringing him up slowly and steadily, and I think that people soon are really going to start catching on to this like they have been over the past few weeks. And yeah, Taz sitting in A tier. Next up, we have Arya. I don't even want to get too deep into Arya because I could make 3 full videos just talking about Arya specifically and her balance and why it's so controversial and why it's so hard to make a definitive statement about Arya's balance. I don't want to get into that in this video. I have way too many thoughts on Arya to fit them all into like a 1-minute portion that I do per character. I will say though, her kit is still very much dependent on up special, and until the up special is like changed, I just don't see how this character can ever be perfectly balanced. She's just going to be dodging back and forth between being OP and being horrible every time they like slightly adjust her up special, and it just it's such a mess of a character, and I really want her to be better because she's my favorite character in the game. By the way, I mean better in the sense of like more stable, not better in the sense of like getting a buff. I want her to be better, and I want her to be a very consistent character that has like a kit that makes sense, because right now it just feels like a glass cannon build where she doesn't really have anything, but then if she lands that up special, you just get KO'd. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to get too far into this. Feels like I didn't make much sense there. It's because I'm trying very hard to like not start any big conversations with this one, but I still think that Arya is strong, and you definitely can still see success with Arya if you're good. So she's going in A tier. Anybody on the MultiVersus team that's watching this, please, can we get like a whole update that's just centered around Arya? Like rework her or something. Like I don't even know, but like she needs to be addressed. She's been so scuffed for the entirety of the game's release. Next up, we got Shaggy sitting in A tier. He's basically just a watered down version of Finn and Wonder Woman. He has the same playstyle as Finn and Wonder Woman, where it's like kind of the rush down, like quick speed kind of build, except he's not as fast as Finn and Wonder Woman, and he's not really as powerful as Finn and Wonder Woman, but he's still got a few like crazy moves moves like that stupid sidekick and the ground pound that are both very good still. And charging up that rage, his raged moves are still so overtuned, and it makes sense, I guess. Like, I can see the thought process behind the rage moves being overtuned because it takes time to charge it, and it's like a high risk, high reward type thing. But it's kind of crazy getting one shot with a charged move when you're at like 50 just because he landed a single hit. But yeah, Shaggy's still an A tier pick. He's not like incredible and like OP, but he's also very much not bad. Like, he's sitting in like the A tier for sure. I put Superman in the B tier last update because in the last update there was a nerf that made his down throw worse to where he couldn't down throw you as early, but in this update they buffed it again, so now it's better. I don't really know why they decided to nerf the down throw and then buff the down throw in the very next patch, but it's been buffed again, so Superman comes back into the A tier. As long as Superman can grab you at low percents and throw you off the map, he will still be very good. But he's in a similar situation to Arya where the rest of his moves aren't good, but then he has this one move that's just like dumb. So Superman still in the A tier. Very forgiving, very heavy character, so hard to KO. He's got great dodge movement. All around, just still a solid character. Next up, we have TNJ, a bit controversial, but I will stand by this. Yes, TNJ is not as good as he was before, but if you are very good with TNJ, you will still be able to make him one of the most effective characters in the game. Like, it is very much not at a point where TNJ is like gutted or he's just destroyed or he's trash now. He's still very good. It's just that he's very hard to play. But if you're good with TNJ, you will still be able to own people. Next up, we got Rick. I feel like this one's kind of self-explanatory. Rick was S tier or high A tier, and now I think he's moving on to the lower A tier. This isn't necessarily in order, by the way. I think it's like kind of generally in order. I haven't been trying to make it in order, but it's kind of worked out that way a little bit. But Rick, I would put at the bottom of A tier. He's not like crazy great, but he just has another all-around good kit like Jake and like Bugs. So yeah, Rick's sitting in A tier still. Moving on to B tier, first up we have Stripe. This may be controversial. I feel like a lot of people still have this opinion of like, oh, Stripe is OP, but they've thought that since like day one of when he came out. This recent update with the balance changes, if you haven't seen them, they destroyed Stripe's gun. They also nerfed his forward air, which was, in my opinion, his only OP move. His forward air was the only thing that I thought needed like a heavy nerf. I thought that the gun needed some tuning, but I didn't think it was like game-breakingly OP like some of you guys did. But they just, wow, I mean, they destroyed his gun. His gun was his neutral game. His gun is forward air, but like take away the stupid hitbox of the forward air. Just ignore that for a second because now it's been nerfed. His gun is his neutral game. His entire character is built around being able to juggle with the gun and extend air combos with the gun. And then they just took it away and they said, you can't do it anymore. Haha. So now he just feels like a character. It's like if you took Finn and then you made him slow and took away his gems. Or it's like if you took Jake and then you took away his ability to like make his punches longer and his house. Or it's like if you took Harley and then took away her plushies. The core part of the character's kit and destroyed it. And I don't get that thought process at all. The only reason that I can think of for this character to receive this heavy of a nerf is that they're taking a very aggressive approach right now, and then they're gonna like bring him back up in the next update, but they're doing this first just to kind of settle people down because the general community like consensus was that Stripe was OP. So I feel like now they're giving him heavy nerfs so that the community will calm down a bit, and then in the next update they'll bring him up to a tolerable level. But for now, man, they trashed him. Now, if you haven't read the patch notes, please don't comment before you've read the patch notes. I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh no, Stripe is still OP, but they haven't even read the patch notes yet. So go look at, I read all my comments. If they're weird, I don't respond to them, but I do read them all. So if you want to have a conversation about this, I'd be happy to. Next up, we got Gizmo. He's sitting in B tier. Gizmo actually received some buffs, and I still think that Gizmo is like a finicky character. Gizmo is a bit finicky with the way that his hitboxes work. It kind of feels like they're like delayed or like are hitting at times when they shouldn't be, or like it's just weird. I don't even know how to really articulate it or put it into words, but Gizmo still just feels weird. It's like his moves, when you use them, it's like really slow at first and then just all of a sudden like springs or something, and it's so weird to fight against a Gizmo. I feel like his moves aren't good, but just the fact that they're so finicky and like hard to see and like understand and know what's happening, that's what makes him sit in B tier rather than something like C tier. I don't think that he's good. It's just that he's super weird and that makes him better. I don't know. It's a weird situation. Next up though, we've got LeBron going into B tier. LeBron is still just like not good. He keeps getting buffed and I think he's getting closer and closer. Like I feel like a couple more patches at this pace and he'll be sitting in A tier, which ideally I guess is the goal. They want like everybody to to be around the A tier. But LeBron right now is still just a little bit underwhelming when you compare him to some other slower characters, or I guess like characters in his archetype of being the slower, like bruiser tank style. Superman is just like a better version of LeBron. So I don't know. LeBron's still weird. He just doesn't seem good, even though on paper he's really good. In actuality, you play him and you just kind of feel like you're playing this slow character that doesn't have much going for him. However, I have seen some crazy LeBron combos. So for those of you that are still maining LeBron, keep going, bro. That's impressive. Next up, we got Steven. I feel like Steven doesn't really need any explanation. He's just still not good. I really wish that they would buff him up. I would love to see a Steven meta, but like, he's just still underwhelming. For how hard Steven is to play, the reward just isn't there. Like for Tom and Jerry, he's a very hard character to play, but there's a lot of reward there if you get good with him. For Steven, he's very hard to play, and then the reward is just like, you could be great with Steven, but you'll still have a worse chance of winning than a bad Jake. Next up, we got Velma. Velma's just like kind of trash in 1v1s. She's really good in 2v2s, still the 2v2 meta, but like in 1v1s, she just like doesn't have much going for her. Her kit was like made for 2v2s. It was built for 2v2s, and all of her things work so well in 2v2s, but then you take her into a 1v1 setting and she doesn't really work. She doesn't do much. Next up, a little bit of a controversial pick, but we have Black Adam. Black Adam feels very underwhelming. I think this is the first character that I've been like pretty underwhelmed with since, I don't even know, LeBron probably. I was underwhelmed with LeBron, but then after that we got like Gizmo, Stripe, Rick, and Morty, and all of those characters were great, but like, I don't know, Black Adam just doesn't feel good. Now, granted, he's only been out for a day, but I've gotten a decent bit of playtime on him, and he still just feels kind of clunky and slow, and even like his combos are really hard, right? They're hard to string together these long combos, and then when you do them, they just don't really feel rewarding. Let me know if you're going to be maining Black Adam. I personally think this will be the first character in a while that I don't play much past like the first day. I played a lot of Rick and a lot of Morty and a lot of Stripe, but I just don't see myself playing a lot of Black Adam. He's cool and he's fun, but I feel like the reward isn't there, similar to someone like Steven. Even if I were to master this character, I just think that he would still be worse than if I was bad at one of the S tier characters. And finally, in the C tier, starting off with Iron Giant. Iron Giant got a lot more nerfs in the recent patch, surprise, but the really big one, they nerfed his grab combo. I haven't actually tested this out. I haven't like played on a high level character, like a top 100 character, since the patch happened. Previously, anytime I would go to play a top 100 character, all the time I would queue into Iron Giants, and there was this one specific combo, this grab combo they could do that was literally an insta-kill at any percentage. It did not matter. They would insta-kill you. There was nothing you could do about it. There was no counterplay. There was nothing you could do. If they landed that grab, you lose a life. But apparently, they say on paper that combo is gone, which means Iron Giant has fallen back into the depths of Tartarus and he's just trash, because they've steadily nerfed everything about his kit over the last 5 patches, trying to find a way to make him stop having the highest win rate in the game. But the only reason he had that high win rate was because of his grab combo. Every patch that they nerfed the rest of his kit, he just became more and more dependent on that grab combo. But now they've finally removed the grab combo. Again, I haven't tested it, so that might be wrong. They said they fixed Arya like 5 times and it's never happened. So I don't know if I really trust that the grab combo is gone, but if it's gone, Iron Giant sucks. He's a horrible pick. Next up, we have Garnet sitting in C tier. I feel like this one doesn't need any explanation. The explanation for why Garnet is C tier is the same for my last 5 explanations of why Garnet is C tier. She's just bad. And lastly, Raindog going in C tier, similar to Garnet. He's just not good. I really want Raindog to be good because Raindog has the best skins in the game, in my opinion. He's a super cool character. I love him so much, but he's just not good. The only thing that made him good was his edge guarding with the fireball, but then they took that out in the recent patch. It's kind of like Iron Giant, where they took out the only thing that made him like playable, and now he's just bad again. Let me know if you guys enjoyed, or if you disagree, agree. As always, I'm open to opinions. Just be sure to leave them in a respectful way, and I will get back to you and have a full conversation with you. I'm totally down for that. Again, this is all just my opinion. This is not factual statements about the game. I'm not saying these things that they are set in stone. This is the balance of a character. It is just my limited opinion. My knowledge of this game, again, is based off of very specific circumstances of mainly 1v1s and this weird level between like high level and medium level, but I'm not really great, but I'm not really average. So it's just kind of like, I don't know, this is only really applicable to people like me, I guess, that are in my same scenario. That's why tier lists can never really be 100% accurate. But if you wanted my perspective on the game, this is how I see it. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys in tomorrow's upload. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Peace out.